Am I the asshole for refusing to take my daughter to her birthday party? My 33F daughter, Cleo, 5 yo, hates pink. She has disliked the color and almost everything to do with it since she was about 3 or so. She has one pink shirt she likes and one pink stuffed animal, and that's it. My father's partner, Prue, refuses to accept that Cleo doesn't like pink. Over the years, she's made several attempts to push the color onto her. Pretty much every gift she's ever given her was some shade of pink, no matter how many times I tell her to stop. She has tried to give me dozens of different reasons why I should encourage my daughter to try different shades. It clearly upsets Cleo, but Prue keeps doing it. About a week ago, my father invited me, my husband and our children for dinner at his place. He said he and Prue had a surprise for the kids. Right before we left home, my younger sister, who still lives with our father, texted me. She warned me that the surprise was actually a small birthday party Prue had planned for Cleo. That alone threw me off, because my daughter's birthday was in November. My father did miss her actual birthday party due to work, but still. Also, my son turns 9 in March, so I had figured his would be the next party we'd have. Then she sent me photos of how the place was decorated, and it very clearly wasn't actually meant for Cleo. Literally every piece of decor was pink. The tableware, the balloons, everything. She had gotten pink banners and glued pink foil fringe curtains on the doors. Even the cake was pink. I showed everything to my husband, and we agreed not to take the kids there. I texted my father the following: "Hey, sister told me everything. We're not coming. We're taking the kids to McDonald's and telling them that was your surprise. You and Prue can come if you want, we're paying." We did exactly that. My father did show up, without Prue, but he was cold with us and left 20 minutes after arriving. Both him and Prue were pissed. My father is angry that my husband and I dismissed his partner's heartfelt gesture towards our daughter. Prue also told me that I'm the reason Cleo is restrictive. I also don't like pink, and I'm raising her to be an ungrateful, spoiled brat who is unwilling to compromise. To be honest, I get how I could be in the wrong here. But at the same time, this just felt like Prue trying to push something Cleo doesn't like onto her yet again. My sister and one of my brothers are on my side, though my sister did say I had been rude. My other brother is on the fence. Am I the asshole? Edit. My daughter doesn't know I dislike pink, nor would I care if she did like it. Not the asshole, you handled it well, and avoided the worst. You were not rude so much as clear that you would not let Prue manipulate you, your daughter. Your father is the weakest link here. He should be reeling in Prue's pink obsession, not encouraging it. Tell your father and Prue that there are things more important than the color pink in this world, and that if they cannot stop giving pink to your daughter, then they should stop giving, period. I'm not sure that Prue's efforts were a heartfelt gesture. Her insistence on pink seems to be more about Prue than about Cleo. Does Prue have children of her own? I would think that most people who've had some exposure to children know that they go through phases of liking, loving, or disliking things, and that you can't really force things on them if they don't like them. Your father and Prue really aren't hearing you, Cleo. The party wasn't for Cleo, so not attending doesn't seem any worse than throwing a party for someone when you know they'll hate it. Not the asshole. Your story is bizarre. It is unclear to me why anyone would be pressing a color on another person. Prue seems rather unhinged, and to have a birthday party 2 months after an actual birthday is weird. Has anyone ever asked her why this is something she is utterly insistent upon? Does Prue have any of her own kids or grandkids? Anyway, you're not an asshole for not going, I suppose. You are kind of an asshole for throwing your sister under the bus, but then I can't imagine that they wouldn't deduce how you found out about the decor after 3 seconds, if she hadn't already told them she was telling you. Anyway, not the asshole. Not the asshole. I'm raising her to be an ungrateful, spoiled brat who is unwilling to compromise. When that comes from an asshole like Prue, you get 75 additional parenting points to spend. You saved your kid from what would have been a traumatic experience at worst, a demoralizing experience where they have to bite their tongue, walk on eggshells the entire time to remain civil at best. Which is not a lesson a 5-year-old needs from Grandpa's house. Not the asshole, but your family sure are. I am now 50, always hated pink, and I was a tomboy and I hated dresses. I had an aunt like your dad's wife. I hated her, she said the same crap Prue says, and she never respected my feelings, so as I grew older I never respected hers. I still don't wear pink, and I have ripped my aunt a new one every time she brings it up. Your daughter is allowed not to like something, and your sister says you were rude. At what point do you not if your daughter's wants and desires are not respected? Cleo would not being seeing my parents for a while till they acknowledge and respect her choices. Prue seems off balance. A birthday party 2 months late is bizarre on its own. The insistence on everything pink sounds really like some sort of issue she's got that she should work through. Did she not have children of her own? Is your daughter seen as some sort of do-over child? It's all a little weird, even without the obsession with the color pink. Not the asshole, forgot a judgment the first time around. Am I the asshole for not recalling my dog when she chased my neighbors off of my property? Throw away. Edit. I know I just posted this, but thank everyone for the advice. I've called a friend who has agreed to come over tonight and he will crash in my spare room until I feel safe. I'm going to contact the police tomorrow and make a report as well as get a runner and a cheap camera as soon as I get paid. I'll update if anything changes, but I hope you all have a fantastic night and thank you for the advice. I, 30 female, have 4 dogs, but the one this story is about is a 4 female Rottie named Bella. A few months ago new renters moved next door, and things have been unpleasant to say the least. The neighbors are always screaming and fighting late into the night and the men in the home have a habit of always trying to talk to, or just watch, me when I'm outside. This is not done in a friendly way, and it has made me feel very uncomfortable. I'm a single female living alone, and our police force isn't the best so I just keep my head down hoping they'll move out soon. The other night, around 11 p.m., I was outside with my dogs in the backyard. My neighbors have a chain fence, but I have no fence along my property except for the part that separates their property from mine. One of my dogs is on leash, but the other 3 are completely trained off leash and do not leave the yard. I know some people may not agree with that, but I live in the countryside, and also my dogs have never run off. One of the women who lives next door, for some reason, decided to enter my yard because she wanted to just play with my puppies. Bella growled and walked closer to me and I asked the woman to please leave but she just kept telling me it was fine and ignored what I was saying. One of the men decided to join her and they came more onto my property, which then led to Bella barking and after a few moments of them continuing she chased after them. She stopped running the second she hit the property line and went inside with me immediately after. Now these neighbors keep making comments about not feeling safe with their kids, and how I should have called my dog back because they weren't a threat. I don't feel like I did anything wrong but I also don't want the area to think that my dogs are dangerous, especially with the stigma against Rotties. I also don't want to stir up unnecessary drama when it's already difficult living next to these people. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Your neighbor came into your property without permission and thought she could just pet your dogs. Bella had every right to chase someone who wasn't invited off. If you're worried about your neighbors, get cameras and place them in the front and backyard. Not the asshole. Your neighbors need to stay in their own yard. Not the asshole. Sounds like if your neighbors had just stayed on their side of the property, there would be no problems. Hopefully now they do just that. How dumb can they be to continue encroaching when your dog is giving warning growls and barks? That said, I would keep an eye out for those neighbors. Probably put up a few cameras to watch your property, consider a better fence, put up a couple beware of dogs and no trespassing signs for good measure. Not the asshole. We have a private trail with no trespassing signs. But people still walk through. If I am out with the dogs, 4 between 50 and 100 pounds, plus 2 small ones. I make no attempt to stop the dogs from barking, jumping or otherwise confronting the trespassers. I will go out to tell the people to leave while the dogs circle them. The number of people who argue with me, some saying it is a public trail, they have permission to use it, from whom? Is ridiculous. My family has owned the land for more than 80 years. Not the asshole because they came onto your property even when you asked them not to. But if they were already painful neighbors before, you can pretty much guarantee that they will be worse now. Get some cameras quick smart and do not leave your dogs outside alone because God only knows what shit your neighbors will try. Not the asshole but as a fellow girly with a big dog who has a negative social stigma, you need to be careful. We don't have cute yappy dog privilege who can bite ankles and no one cares, we have scary dog privilege which means people are more likely to complain. Bella is a good girl, but you're risking her a bit too much. She may never go over the property line, but angry scared people who get law enforcement involved don't care about that. Scary dog privilege keeps you safe but you gotta keep your babies safe in return. Am I the asshole for telling my 24M girlfriend, 25F, she's penny pinching me after losing her job? 1.5 years ago, I got a new grad job out of state and my girlfriend moved with me. It is an HCOL area, and our apartment is $2K per month. For the first year, she worked part-time to nurture her mental health, paid me $150 per month in rent. For the next 0.5 year, she worked full-time, paying $800 per month in rent and splitting utilities. Last month, she was laid off from her job. She had the money saved up from the whole month of work to pay rent, but she didn't, and I didn't say anything. I paid all of our rent and utilities for January, and will continue to do so moving forward. She has been on vacation for 2 weeks, and I realized our pet cat was running low on food. To hold her over before buying in bulk online, I bought a small $8 package of food. I asked my girlfriend to pay half, and she refused, saying I need to take responsibility for my own mistake. This is where I started fuming. I told her she needs to think twice before penny pinching me on little mistakes when she literally suddenly stopped contributing like $1,000 to our shared bills. She said, "My dad says you should be paying all the rent anyways," and said that she has to penny pinch because she doesn't have a job. I just try to put myself in her shoes. Imagining I lost my job and my partner were paying the entirety of rent and utilities. I would be overly grateful and would help anywhere I can. Am I overreacting about just a few dollars like an asshole? Or is she out of line telling me to take accountability, like that? I, 1, got mad and told her she was penny pinching. She, 2, said that she has to penny pinch now that she's lost her job, and I need to take accountability for my mistake. Am I the asshole for getting mad about such a small expense? My dad says, dump her. Not the asshole. Tell girlfriend she can live with her dad and he can pay her rent for her. Solves all the problems as she will continue getting worse. Why is she on vacation when she should be looking for a job? Not the asshole. I think there is a disconnect here in her thinking. I can go on vacation for 2 weeks after I lose my job, but I cannot afford to help my boyfriend out with our cat. To me, it seems like red flags are popping up here. Not the asshole. I wouldn't even be able to relax if my partner was footing my bill. I would feel so incredibly terrible and doing whatever I could to contribute. This is not a good sign in a life partner. Best advice: run. Seriously, this is going to get worse and worse. Not the asshole. Edit: if you need a reason, just let her know that your dad says so. Not the asshole. First of all, our pet cat has 2 owners, which means it was not your mistake any more than it was hers. Second of all, her dad is fully out of line, and so is she. You don't just assume your partner will pay all your bills without a serious conversation where you both agree to that. Third of all, I don't know why you decided to pay all the rent and utility going forward, but I would strongly urge you to reconsider. Do you really want to be in that kind of financial relationship with someone who hasn't taken responsibility for losing her job and just expected you to cover all the bills when she fully had the ability to and just decided not to, but balks at being asked to pay $4 for a cat you both share? Am I the asshole for not letting someone I barely know stay at my place even though they're homeless now? I met someone about 2 weeks ago while organizing a social event on Reddit. We connected over our shared social awkwardness and exchanged numbers. When we met for lunch, they opened up about their life, mentioning they hadn't been paid in 6 weeks. I felt bad and offered to pay for their lunch. A few days later, they casually mentioned they had actually been fired, which explained the lack of pay. I felt sorry for them but assumed they had some savings since they were still attending social events and seemed relatively okay. They also mentioned that their parents live close by, so I figured they had a support system. Over the next few days, they shared struggles with their mental health and family, parents, brother, which I could relate to. I listened but didn't offer much advice since I didn't feel qualified to help. A week ago, they asked if they could stay at my place in an emergency. I told them no, explaining my home is my safe space and that I've had issues with people violating my boundaries before. They seemed to understand and didn't push further. But this week, their situation has escalated. They said they were kicked out and their super changed the locks. They also had a huge fight with their parents, and their dad called the cops on them. Now, they're texting me from a park, saying they haven't eaten in 2 days and have nowhere to go. I asked if they had reached out to other friends or acquaintances, but they said those people either live with roommates or their parents and can't take them in. I suggested they call our city's eviction helpline or look into shelters, but they said they haven't had any luck with those options. Now, they're pressuring me, saying, "You're the only person who can help me," and making me feel extremely guilty. I feel terrible about their situation, and I wish I could do something to help, but I also feel strongly about protecting my boundaries. I've only known them for 2 weeks, and letting them stay at my place would make me uncomfortable, especially given how chaotic their life seems right now. I have a gut feeling that some of what they're telling me isn't adding up. For example, they've given me conflicting timelines about when exactly they got evicted. On different days, they said the landlord or super changed the locks, but the details don't seem consistent. It makes me wonder if there's more to the story that they're not being honest about, which only adds to my discomfort. I suggested mental health institutes and city resources, but they said those options haven't worked. They keep saying things like, "If you don't help, I don't know what's going to happen to me," which makes me feel guilty. Am I the asshole for holding firm on my boundary and not letting them stay at my place? I feel heartless, but I also don't think I'm equipped to deal with this situation. Am I wrong here? Not the asshole. I think your gut feeling is right. Their story doesn't add up. It's very convenient that they just happened to meet you right before all these terrible things happened to them, to create this emergency situation where you're the only person who can provide them with free food and accommodation. The more you hesitate, the bigger their emergency becomes. I'm not buying it, and neither should you. Timelines adding up isn't the only concern, but what the fuck did they do to have their parents call the cops on them? I strongly recommend keeping your distance. This person sounds potentially sketchy and you deserve to protect your peace. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. This person has latched onto you knowing you have a sympathetic ear. You are doing the right thing protecting yourself. Listen to your instincts, you do not owe this person anything. Also stop suggestion solutions, because they are clearly not interested in them, they just see you as the next ticket. I have so many things I want to tell you right now. I don't believe for a single second this person is telling you the truth about anything. Please block them entirely, everywhere they have access to you. Never let them into your home under any circumstances. Don't see them socially, and if you do leave. Introverts like us can be easy marks to be taken advantage of for so many reasons. You are being manipulated, so far very clever on you. This won't be the last time someone asks you something like this either. You realize this is a scam, right? Not the asshole. You are being scammed here. Cut off contact.